This is the Marble Energy Virtual Experiment. In this experiment, there are a couple key ideas to keep in mind. In this experiment, we will see energy, and energy is the ability to do work. Work is any time a force moves an object a distance. Remember, all forces are a push or a pull. The force in this experiment is gravity pulling the marble to the surface of the Earth. This kind of energy at the start of the experiment is called potential energy. There's actually a formula for it. Potential energy equals mass times gravity times height. Now we don't know the mass of the marble today. We know the gravity on Earth is 9.8 meters per second squared, and we will know the height of the marble at each point in the experiment. The formula for potential energy shows us that as the height of the marble increases, the more potential energy it will have. As a force of gravity pulls the marble down, potential energy will be transferred into kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of the moving marble, or a moving object. The more kinetic energy it has, the greater its velocity will be. Let's take a look at the setup for this experiment. So in this experiment, there's a ramp, and we'll start the ramp at 5 centimeters off the ground. At 0 centimeters, nothing happens. And each time, the marble will go down the ramp, and you can see at the end of the ramp that there's a black object. That black object is a photo gate that will measure the speed of the marble, and we'll actually see that in each trial of the experiment. So here's a picture of what we're going to see each time the trial's done. As you can see, the marble went down the ramp and stopped at the end of it under the sensor. Let's begin. Hey, I almost forgot. As we go through the experiment, it's important to collect your data. So if it's going to be hard for you to flip back and forth to your data table to write down the speed of the marble, you should make a copy of it now and fill it in on scrap paper and then go back and type it into your electronic medium. So our first trial is technically 0, but with the ramp being flat, the marble doesn't move. So you can simply write down at 0, the marble moves 0 meters per second. Our second trial starts out at 5 centimeters. Now I know in the picture here it looks like it's not quite really that, but it actually is. The camera's at an angle which made a little bit of an optical illusion. So trust me, it's at 5 centimeters. And at 5 centimeters, we see a speed of 0.12 meters per second. Our next trial is at 10 centimeters per second. We have a speed of 0.65 meters per second. This trial, we're at 15 centimeters per second. Okay, so I missed the screenshot of this one, but the data was 1.01 meters per second. On to a height of 20 centimeters, our marble travels at 1.39 meters per second. At a height of 25 centimeters per second, the marble travels at 1.55 meters per second. At a height of 30 centimeters, the marble travels at 1.71 meters per second. At a height of 35 centimeters, the marble travels at 1.89 meters per second. And in our last trial, at a height of 40 centimeters, the marble travels at 2 meters per second. So now, on your lab sheet, fill in the data, label the diagram, look at the graph, complete the graph analysis questions, and then turn in your assignment. And then you are done with the Marble Energy Virtual Experiment. I hope you had fun. Thanks for learning with me.